Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Bourbon-n-Blockchain interview. My name is Draco, and today we are going to conduct an interview with Stephen of weave.financial. Stephen, could you please introduce yourself and describe your role with Weave?
Yeah, sure. I'm Stephen. I'm the CEO of Weave. I got involved with blockchain and crypto. Kind of, I started doing it with Auto Farm. Got involved with their community and just really loved it. Loved helping people. Um, Worked my way up in various different support roles there. And then, yeah, that's where Weave came to my head, and now we're where we are having a chat.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like how things, everybody kind of has a different story. Typically they're somewhat similar, but everybody has a different story about how they got into crypto. Could you describe to people, how you got into crypto and what caught your eye?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing, I was just looking for better interest for my money. Basically, my normal bank account was just rubbish, and I thought, there's quite a few different options here, but I discovered, thanks to YouTube, actually, stable coins, and then fell down a massive rabbit hole there. Initially staked on Ethereum, which costs obviously quite a lot, and that was in January last year, but it was still quite a lot. And the plan was to leave it, just for a year or something. But then I discovered the Binance Smart Chain, and that's kind of it. All flowed from there.
Yeah, Binance Smart Chain, for a while there was really booming, and it's obviously gained a lot of momentum and traction. There's a ton of projects on it. It's a pretty big platform, and the fees are way less than some other blockchains that are out there.
Yeah, I really like it. Alongside, actually, my personal favorite is Polygon, just because the fees most of the time are simply amazing, and transactions are also just so on point all the time. They're exactly what you need, really. Just to, you can do something wrong and then go, oh, never mind, it was only half a cent or something ridiculous. Um, yeah, but I really enjoy interacting with Polygon and BSC.
Yeah, so traditionally, when we conduct these interviews, one of our main staples, obviously being bourbon and blockchain, we typically enjoy an adult beverage during our interviews. But today, it's only 11 a.m. here, so it's a little early for me to get the whiskey bottle out. So today, I'm enjoying some coffee, and I've got some like cream liqueur with it. So a little bit of alcohol content, but nowhere near as much as 114 proof whiskey. So cheers to everybody that's watching. Obviously, that's something that we definitely discuss often. So I appreciate all of you being here. And what about you? What are you drinking tonight? Because what time is it for you?
So it's 5 o'clock, but I am on driving duty later, so I've got a glass of lemonade and a cup of tea.
A cup of tea. Yeah, I figured. It fits. It fits the description, doesn't it? American drinking coffee and an Englishman drinking tea. That's awesome. Um, so a few disclaimers real quick to the community as we continue this conversation. Nothing here is financial advice. We conduct these interviews to provide information to potential investors. The whole purpose of this is to provide you with education content. Um, with that also being said, we have a relationship with Weave. I would like to discuss that going forward as well. I reached out to Weave several weeks ago, I'd say, almost a month ago, right? And we started to talk about your project and that I was interested in it. And this was before staking went live or anything like that. And we kind of developed a conversation from there. As we developed the Bourbon and Blockchain community, we invited you to join that community and continue our friendship going forward and the relationship with your projects. So that kind of brings us where we are today. And we have no financial agreements or incentives between each other to continue this conversation. Is that correct?
Sorry, I missed the last bit there. Could you repeat that?
We have no financial agreement or allotment between each other to continue our conversation about the project or anything like that.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. I just did this because I like what you guys are doing, and then likewise, I think from your side as well. So yeah, that is the main reason we're having this call now.
Absolutely. Yeah, obviously we think that your project is unique and it has very different aspects to it that we are paying attention to and watching. So I think we should start to try to get into that. So um, I think that, oh, well, also you joined our Discord, and I think that that's pretty cool because we have a couple different developers and project team leaders that are in our project and Bourbon-n-Blockchain, and we like that because it allows you to see real world feedback about your project, where you don't even have to interact or solicit that feedback. You can ask questions in a community that's not in your community, right? So you may or may not get different answers if you ask an outside party their opinions on what's going on. It also allows you to see what my community is about, the community that I'm part of, Bourbon-n-Blockchain, so that you know what you're getting into if you're going to formulate a relationship or a friendship with us to discuss your project. And lastly, I think it allows you to gauge and evaluate how the community is reacting to the overall crypto environment and other projects and what they're doing. And if we see something that's going on and we don't like it, you guys are able to take note of that and say, wow, we don't want to go in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's really good, and just with Weave as a whole as well, since we're going to be integrating quite a lot of projects. You know, getting the opinion of all the different angles is really valuable to developing our product. So it's that's kind of another reason that it's so useful to have our eyes everywhere.
Yeah, it's smart to do it that way because it allows you guys to be very diversified in what you guys are looking at. So that's good. Um, so going into your project a little bit more, could you please give us just like a simple, overview of what it is you guys are doing and how the project looks, if you will, like what is the project doing and what is its goal?
Yep. Okay. So our sort of slogan as Weave is to bring DeFi to the masses. And I mean, it's been a very crazy journey for me coming into DeFi. And I think there's a lot of stuff out there, but it can be way too complicated. But at the same time, those people that do know what they're doing are really quite skilled at it. So yeah, but that's why we created Weave. And yeah, as a whole, there's two sides within Weave. There's Weave Pro and Weave Passive. And how that works is with Weave Pro, we basically designed a strategy builder so that the people who are more experienced can basically do everything within DeFi within our site. So whether that be create just take some rewards from an LP or a single stake and sell those into another currency. That's a very simple example. They could also compound within our site. And the idea is that all of these platforms that we're going to be plugging in will all work together seamlessly on our single dashboard. So yeah, that presents quite a good situation, because with passive, the idea here is that people who are less experienced but still want to get some potentially high rewards for their money can come into our site and copy a Weave Pro user's strategy, and basically what the pro gets from that, if they don't have to share their strategy, but they can choose to share their strategy with a passive user, and they'll take a small percentage of the profits from that strategy. So that also it still incentivizes the pro user to really think about what they're doing if they're sharing their strategy, because otherwise they won't get any further reward, or any reward really. So that hopefully that kind of shows you the two different sides of what we're looking to do.
Yeah, absolutely, it does, and I think we'll get a little bit more into it as we go. And that was a great explanation, and I think it's very unique. And just that high level overview, I'm sure people are wondering kind of what it is you're going to do, but it's for what we've seen thus far, it's very different and unique. Um, I'd like to discuss your website. You guys have amazing visuals and an amazing team that's creating your website and your socials. Um, you guys are really, really putting a lot of effort into this for it to be visually stunning. You're putting up a lot of different educational content as well, which we'll continue to get into. Um, One of the things that I think is important when looking for projects, one of the things that we look at is their vision, what they're trying to do, just like what you're describing, but also transparency and education. And your team, if people aren't aware of that, you guys have a very diverse team, and multiple members are doxxed. I think that that's important when looking at these investment opportunities, and it's something that I think is becoming more and more important in DeFi.
Yeah, completely. So yeah, from the start, really, we were the three co-founders. We were very keen on being completely docs, and then some of the team as well decided that they were comfortable with it as well. We want to just make absolutely clear that we are being completely transparent, and that it comes down to security as well, doesn't it? Making sure that you're fully you're doing as much as you can to be transparent with your community and potential investors. That I think moving forwards, this will work quite well alongside, getting everything audited on our site as well.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people in the past, didn't really care as much about a fully doxed team and transparency until people started to lose money, and I think that that's something that puts a blemish on the entire crypto space, which is unfortunate because there's projects out there that are doing really good things, but they're being pushed back and their integrity is being put into question based on other people's actions, which I think is unfortunate. But this is the space that we're living in, and I think that as a community, the crypto community is making their standards higher, and that's something that you guys are immediately addressing, and I think that's a great thing for your project.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to note as well. So most of our team, actually, we discovered them on a variety of different Discord servers and Telegram groups, just helping out people. And we're trying to do the same with our community as well. So we've got a community role scheme, so people can basically, if we see that people are contributing, then we'll promote them to higher roles within the community. And kind of the roll 2 out of 3 there, you get to start seeing stuff early, you get to be a beta tester, things like that. And then if you become a Weave ambassador, then you're able to work directly with the team on several things. So I think we see that from our own team, you can bring together people so effectively just by looking around and seeing who's willing to help with no ulterior motive. So we're really trying to keep that at the heart of our project.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going back to transparency, for example, I brought up your roadmap here. You guys are discussing your roadmap and the different goals and what you guys are trying to do. You guys have laid it out very well here. And it's good to have that type of, like I said, the goals that are set up for people to look at, because then it shows where we're at and where we're going and what the plans are, what the team is developing. And as an investor, I think that that's important, because if there's a lot of question marks there, then it's difficult to, to secure your funds in something that you don't understand. That also kind of brings up your white paper. You guys have a very detailed, very professional and visually engaging white paper, all of which is on your website and easy to find. So for anybody that's looking at this as a potential investment, if you guys are looking at this content as, to supplement your research, all of this is on their website. It's easy to find. And you guys are doing a great job with all of this. And this is your updated, most recent white paper, 2.1, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I have to say, I have to thank our team for their contributions to this, because it's been a really big joint effort between everyone on most things that we've done so far. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job with your structure and how you guys have things set up. So I commend you for that. The transparency and, like I said, the way that you guys are communicating with your community is doing really well. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is um, your socials and your how-to videos. So I think it's becoming more and more important in crypto for these large projects that are getting attention to make sure that they're educating their investors. Why do you think that that's becoming more and more of a theme?
Sorry, I just lost your connection again towards the end of that.
I'm sorry. Why do you think that that's becoming more and more of a theme for people or large projects to start to educate their investors?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. That's a good question. I like it. I guess because there's people that come in expecting instant gains, I suppose that isn't the case at all. Well, it definitely isn't necessarily, unless you're very lucky. And I think if most people come into the crypto space and they say that they've earned money on all the projects they've invested in, they just wouldn't be telling the truth. You have to. I think I know several people that have just had success with one or two projects out of tens of projects that they've invested in, and that's able to help them out there. But I think this education it comes alongside needing you need that education to provide longevity for the crypto space, because if people aren't learning anything other than making their mistakes, they're just gonna feel quite sour about the crypto space. What we're looking at here is our academy, and some of our team have worked on these, headed up by Johnny, who's one of the co-founders. We've got many more videos coming, but we're hoping that this will really educate people, but also it's going to hopefully tell more people about Weave as well. But doing this sort of this educational stuff shows what we're all about right from the start, I think.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that is a little bit different from what you guys are doing, opposed to other groups or projects, is that if you guys make a change, or if there's something that you need to make sure everybody gets a hold of, you guys create videos. So for example, recently you guys had one contract out and you just recently pushed out a new contract. So instead of just telling people, hey, you need to stake on a new contract, you created a write-up and you created a video that shows you exactly how to do it. There's no question on how to get that done. And I think that that's a great way to engage with your community and keep them on track.
Yeah, definitely. So Johnny is a YouTuber himself, and providing that knowledge is so useful because we're able to combine the technical knowledge and kind of the educational side of our project as well, and creates a good blend of what you're seeing on the screen there. I think the feedback as well from the community has been really positive, as well as what we've done with the site so far too.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention on your website, when you log into this website, this is one of the first things that you see when you go to use the application. And I can't let you get away without me making comments about this. You guys are so thorough on so many different aspects of your project, and when you look at something like this is your terms of use and whatnot. And I'm not going to bore everybody by reading it, but this is what you go through when you accept the terms, when you start to utilize this website. That means that you guys are really paying attention to detail and making sure that people understand what it is they're doing. So you're not only providing education, but you're making sure that they are looking at and reading, and you're taking this seriously.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting process, that actually, because having been in DeFi for a little while, you're used to the same format of website, and the same words, like seeing deposit everywhere. But we have a legal advisor, and we spoke with him, and he said that to do what we need to be doing, we need to be saying people can stake, and that expertise within our team is just so useful, really showing us what we need to be doing, kind of, I guess, to match up with what the legal procedures are in DeFi, really, as much as we can, but without the constraints.
Yeah, and I think it's smart move on yourself, as a project, but it's also telling the investor, this is serious. You should take this seriously. Read this. Don't just make frivolous investments. Figure out what you're doing and do your research. And you guys encourage that with the content that you're pushing out and how you're presenting your project. I think that that's important for the community. This right here, what we're looking at on the website, is your staking and your LP staking. Can you give us a quick rundown of what they are and what the difference between them is?
I didn't hear the end of that question, but did you ask me to just say what's going on with the staking?
Yeah. Could you give us an example of, could you describe what single staking is versus LP staking?
Okay, yeah, sure. So single staking is basically you either got some Weave tokens in our early community rewards period, by staking stablecoin, or you bought it on PancakeSwap, and you'll bring it across to our site just to get some rewards by staking it in the platform. And yeah, doing this on our platform will allow you to get some rewards, so like a milestone bonus as such. So the longer you have it in, the bigger the bonus you get on top of your standard rewards. And I believe that is in the white paper. It should say in there as well. And then I guess what an LP is basically it's Weave tokens paired with BUSD, and it provides a bit more stability and also higher rewards, because you're actually providing the liquidity for our platform for people to be able to buy and sell a token. And each time someone does that, you'll get a little percentage fee from that, just to enhance your, I guess, what you've got staked in our site.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like you have, you're giving people options for different risk tolerances and things like that as well. But for staking purposes, you have Weave staked to a stable coin, which is a pretty conservative staking mechanism, in my opinion. But yeah, it looks great. And for full disclosure, for everybody that's watching the video and that's going to be learning about this, there is a new contract. So if you staked before, I think it was yesterday, correct? If you staked before yesterday, you have to unstake and restake on the new contract. So make sure you guys are doing that if you have your funds staked in Weave, or if you're doing an LP staking, make sure that you go in there and stake to the new contract.
If you are in the old one still, as you will have experienced, Draco, there is a deprecated red box on the screen, so you'll be able to tell very easily. And there's instructions there, including the video link to our YouTube channel on what to do. Yep, that's the one.
Yep, and this does a really good job. This is actually what I watched when it came out, and it describes what it is you need to do and what. So this is the red box, and it'll tell you need to, it's telling you something's wrong, right? And what it's saying is there's a new contract, a new pool, and you need to restake the funds. So it's pretty self-explanatory, just to make sure everybody's aware of it. Discussing your one of the things that I saw on your website, and we kind of discussed it a little bit. We were talking about your educational content. You guys have a section here that looks like you have a learning zone that you're working on. What all is going to be involved in that? Is that going to just be about your project, or is that going to be kind of about your project and crypto as a whole, like as an educational center?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. So this is something we've really ramped up development of in the last few weeks. And as you'll see on the YouTube channel, there's quite a few educational videos out there now. But I believe there's also going to be accompanying articles for that. And also, you would have seen that we've recently partnered with Channels Finance, who are on BSC and the Heko chain as well. And basically, protocols like them, they're going to actually have kind of a space on the Weave Academy, because we're going to say, well, this, what is a lending protocol, and then we'll feature their site so you can understand kind of how a lending protocol would work. So that's kind of where it will go with bringing in other things other than just things directly related to Weave. And I think also it's really useful to have that, I guess, the user experience right in front of you whilst you're learning about these different protocols as well.
Absolutely. And again, I think it makes it, I think some projects assume that people that come in there are really good at working with these projects, and they don't take the time to educate. And you'll see a lot of people lose money early because they're not familiar with how to utilize the project. And you guys are doing a great job of avoiding that. Going down towards the bottom of your website, one of the things that I wanted to talk about are your partnerships. You have some impressive and some very diverse partnerships down here. Would you like to quickly just do an overview of your partnerships and who it is that you're making partnerships with and why?
Yeah, of course. We're in the process of updating that because we have more to add, which is very exciting, including channels, the one I just mentioned. But yeah, so what you see there, so OEC, Polygon, Huobi/Heko, and Crypto.com. We are working with them on either launching on their chains or working out how we can launch on their chains in the near future. So I'm in regular discussion with their DeFi teams, and they're honestly so helpful. We're able to link up with various different projects that run on these chains. These could even be projects that are supported directly by the chains themselves. So the chains are saying, Weave, here you go. Here's our #1 project. You can go and chat to them about potential partnership. So I've got quite a few calls next week regarding that. I think also, we're looking to do some various AMAs and media articles with these chains. We should be able to have one with Polygon and OEC pretty soon. So that's pretty exciting there. And then regarding kind of new partnerships as well that aren't yet on the site. So Channels Finance, I mentioned the lending protocol. They actually include leveraging in their lending as well. So it's quite an interesting concept. And also a bridging partner that we've recently made, which should hopefully be able to make us fill a large part of our roadmap. It was planned for the second half of this year, I think, or the late around June time maybe. But yeah, a bridging partner called Merkle Network, and that will basically allow cross-chain farming within our strategy builder. Which is, we're very excited about that, because that's something we thought we'd have to put a lot of resources into, and we're really going to hone in on just working with them as well as we can to make it quite a fluid experience on our site.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good segue. I'd like to talk about your Weave Passive and Weave Pro. I know they're two different things. It's something that I actually had up here a little bit ago, and I'll go back to it. But could you describe, for example, can you give us an example of Weave Passive and how that could be utilized by an end user?
Yeah, sure. So what we're planning on our strategy builder, and this will be updated incrementally as well. But for a Weave Passive user, you'll be able to go onto our site and you'll be able to see an APY of a particular strategy, as well as hopefully pretty soon a risk rating as well. And that will allow you to judge what kind of risk you're willing to take with your money. So there's going to be a variety of strategies. So ones that do involve things like the one on your screen, so Cake BNB, two assets that they can fluctuate quite a lot in value. But also, if you wanted to, you could just have a stablecoin strategy, which is a lot lower risk. Or you could have a mixture of the two. So you could be selling off a high risk asset to buy a low risk asset. You could be also compounding some of it, and that's any percentage you want. You could be also compounding some of it, and then you could be selling off some of it to another currency. And I believe on our site, we designed it, hopefully, so with both web and mobile UIs, you'll be able to develop very, very large strategies in terms of the width of what you're doing there. So yeah, it's very exciting for both the pro and the passive user there.
Yeah, and I think that it's awesome to note that what you guys are doing and how you're trying to implement it is what a lot of other projects are trying to tackle and they failed at. And the way that you guys are doing this and the strategy that you're using as a project is impressive, in the sense that you're giving people the opportunity to choose, and you're also allowing them to see what the risk profile is. I think that's a unique strategy.
Yeah, thank you. We're actually going to be working with an insurance protocol on the risk side of things. We're not completely sure how the relationship will look as yet, with regards to how integrated they are and what we're doing on their sites. What they're doing on our site, but I got distracted by that comment. Thank you, the Colonel. Just saw it pop up. So, and also they are going to be launching on Ethereum first, but also spreading out across all different chains. So hopefully they'll be able to follow us with that onto different chains. But yeah, we're just keeping the conversation going with them currently, and on their side as well, they're going to be having testing soon. So maybe in the near future that will be an announcement, regarding working with that project. I will say as well, you've got the strategy builder up on the screen. We've actually, I think it's in our Discord announcements channel. There is a little animation of what the actual strategy builder will look like now. So it's even prettier than the current one. If you wanted to bring it up, I'm not quite sure where it is. I think it's quite a few announcements up, but
I'll look for it. Let me see if I can find it while we're talking at the same time.
yeah, sure.
Could you, while I look for it, could you, I know we hit on it very briefly. Could you describe to people the difference between passive pro and passive, or I'm sorry, weave pro and weave passive?
Yeah, okay. So a pro is if you either, if you know what you're doing, or you've come through as a passive user, use the Weave Academy and decided that you feel like you can give it a go. But you are creating the strategies yourself, so you're setting those percentages for auto compounding and splitting. And I think something that people should bear in mind is that it doesn't have to be a complex strategy. If it works, then it works. I know that some of our team members, they won't be formally representing us within the platform, but we've had lots of conversations about what people will want to do on the pro side. So I'm imagining, especially once we're cross chain, people are going to be able to do some pretty amazing things with the strategy. And also, I'm looking for partnerships with different protocols who, they have a variety of different things going on. So we're really wanting to make the DeFi experience for the pro side really quite bespoke, but also easy, because currently that just doesn't exist. How we're designing it, and then coming into the passive side, imagine I've just explained how strategy is made a little bit. You'll see a big list of these strategies, and hopefully also a list of strategies built by projects that we're partnered with as well. And you'll be able to choose those strategies based on your risk rating. And you should just be able to put your funds in, and then it will automatically go through all of the different vaults. And from a technical standpoint here as well, the strategies are each in their own contract, the different strategies. So there's not one big pool of user funds for different vaults, which is really advantageous, because that really helps with the security side of things and the vulnerability being reduced as well.
Yeah. What are the requirements to creating a passive, or I'm sorry, a Weave Pro option for people to utilize?
So you're saying, what do you have to do to become a pro?
Correct.
Yeah. So there aren't any currently. So this is something that we've seen a competitor of ours. I believe when I looked at it a while ago, so they're called Donkey Finance, and you have to apply to become a farmer on there. So you can't use their platform unless unless you've got through their application process, which we think is something that, quite frankly, that they're missing out on, because there's this really good experience on our site where you can, as you can see on the screen, everything's very simple. And you can filter out the vaults you like and do whatever you want on the strategy on the platform. And with the requirement to then share that strategy, currently there isn't any. So we are considering, maybe an added use case for our token of a very small amount of weave to be able to share the strategy with a passive user. But so coming on the pro side and the passive side, there's no requirement initially. Regarding a kind of a further benefit, you can reduce your fees. You can reduce your fees if you stake a certain amount of weave, and that will be tiered up as well. So that's going to be a really interesting feature and a really good use case for our token as well. And I believe that's the same on the passive side too.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. So in your white paper, it talks about earning potential, and I want to hit on that really quick because it changed a little bit, and I'm pretty. It's unique the way that you guys are doing the platform and how the tokenomics works. But currently, you guys are having, for example, rewards and things of that for token allocation by staking early. Can you describe that a little bit and what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. So the early offer has actually expired around a month ago, I think. That might be bad maths, but I think that's about right. Just over, I think. So nearly 2 weeks ago, early community rewards period finished. So that was literally, you just stake BUSD and you get Weave token rewards, and that they were the first Weave tokens available once the token went live. But now actually, so for around a month-long period, we've got a more aggressive rewards period currently. So it's the perfect time to get involved if you're just hearing about Weave for the first time, because we really want to still ramp up everything, and in the next few weeks as well, we're really going to be pushing up marketing and hopefully getting some new partnerships, because I know personally from my point, we've just started a few new conversations with different people, different projects. So yeah, I'm very excited to go back to work on Monday.
Yeah, I could see why. You guys are quickly developing things and getting information out. Here, this is one of the things I was discussing is early community staking and LP bonus rewards. During the month of January 2022, there will be an additional 400,000 bonus Weave liquidity pool only tokens being pushed out. I mean, so that's pretty crazy when you look at the overall strategy and how much is going to be put out, but that's increasing it by over 50% for the first month, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So as I just mentioned, it's going to be the month-long period. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. I do think because we started the staking a little bit late, it will go on for a little bit longer as well. So there's just probably about 3 or 4 days longer on the end of that currently as well.
That makes sense. One of our community questions that we had was, do you get paid for people using pro strategy? So like if you create a pro strategy and other people utilize it, how did you get compensated for that, or is that even an option?
That is an option. Yeah. So if people, this is the incentive. So I mentioned that you don't have to share your pro strategy. You can keep it to yourself if you want to. But if you want to share it with passive users, then you can get a small fee from that passive user. So how it looks from the passive side there as well is we take a little fee around 3 or 4%, I think, and then the pro user will also take a similar fee, and that is just on the profits made on that strategy. So that, I think I mentioned this earlier, but like it just incentivizes the pro user to do their best job with their strategy if they're sharing it with a passive user.
Yeah, I don't know how this will look, but I mean, I completely plan on creating a Bourbon-n-Blockchain pro user profile in the future. Maybe something that our community can vote on when it comes to what we put in there and how that looks. I could definitely see doing that in the future when that becomes available. And anybody out there that wants to drink bourbon and do crypto trading can follow our profile and see how that works out. Going back to your rewards and the schedule, one of the other things that I've looked at in your white paper is it talks about milestone bonuses. I have that up on the screen as well. Can you describe to people what the milestone bonuses are?
Yeah, of course. So once you staked in our LP or in our native farms, then you will then get, after 12 weeks, a little multiplier on your rewards, and then a bigger one after half a year, and then an even bigger one after a whole year. And so how that works is if you decide you don't want to keep some funds in for that long, then they will just be subtracted from the rewards. So if you need to remove a small amount for whatever reason that is, we're still going to be fair and offer you the rewards. And offering these bonuses was something that we did instead of forcing people to be locked into a contract, just because we don't like that and we think that's not fair. And also from my standpoint, I've seen several DeFi projects where it's been used maliciously, because if it's locked in and something happens to the project, then there's nothing that can be done there. And this is our way around that, but we feel it still rewards committed weavers very well.
Yeah, I think it does. It rewards people for staking and earning long term and providing liquidity to the liquidity pool. One of my questions is, after I read this, the question I came up with in my head was, let's say that I claim earnings over the course of X amount of period of time. So let's say I'm staked for 10 weeks and I don't unstake my holdings, I just unstake the earnings. Does that reset the calculator, or is that different?
That should be different. You should be
Okay.
okay there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was just one of the questions, because I would probably compound several times, but in the option that I wanted to, claim some of those rewards, it would be good to know whether or not it reset the calculator. So that's good. Um, yeah, so I see this as being an opportunity here with the different incentives and the long-term longevity that you guys are looking at for the project. It's not a, put all your money in here and get 10,000% APY immediately. It's a long-term strategy of staking and earning, combined with going into the liquidity protocols that you're providing for Weave Passive and Weave Pro. You guys have a very diverse strategy here. Well thought out.
Yeah, thank you. I think when we were first having the conversations about Weave, we thought there's quite a big hole here, because we saw exchanges being very clever and providing, I don't know, like 10% APY on a stablecoin, but what they're also doing is taking away an extra 10% for themselves. And at the same time, we were interacting with different DeFi protocols on a daily basis, and we thought we can blend the two and create something that can either be really simple or really complicated, but regardless, create some really good passive income for people.
What I guess I'll ask you a general question, and answer what you're comfortable with. But what type of returns could you see? Like, what percentages are people able to play with here? If somebody were to try to max out something and be degen, what could be potentially looking at, and then what would be more conservative figures?
Yeah, see, this is a really hard one, because throughout this whole process of launching our token and then it going live on PancakeSwap on the Bourbon-n-Blockchain, seeing the price do what it did. So we've done like a 4. Did we do a 4x? And I think we went a little bit higher as well, maybe a 5x. And we dipped it back down a bit in the first few days. And that just shows the anticipation and excitement people have. But I think I find it very hard to try and comment on price. I know there's some people in our team who love doing it, and some of them do a very good job of it as well. Some maybe not, but yeah. What we're looking. Yeah, sorry. I think it will work quite effectively as token anyway, with the burn mechanism that we have going on. So I think in that white paper it says there's like a 5% fee on selling, and that's going to really help us there for sure. You don't actually need to look on Dex Screener now. We're on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap if you want us to look there.
Really? Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. I'm just going to force you to open it up now.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. I will. I'll look it up right now. Yeah, because I know it's hard to get onto some of these platforms to have them. There it is, to list your token.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think that they only have the data from the last few days, don't they? Because it was
it doesn't go back very far.
Yeah, I think I had like 4 or 5 people impersonating me. It was a very interesting experience. I think we went online at like 3 a.m. UK time, so I was very much asleep whilst that was happening. So you knew it wasn't me.
No, yeah. I think it's, like I said before, I think that you guys are taking a broad approach to this, and really trying to come up with unique and different and diverse ways to apply this, and it's nice to look at. Overall, I guess as like an overall question, where do you guys see yourselves going in the next 3 months? Like, what are your immediate goals, your midterm goals, long-term goals, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now? What do you see Weave doing and accomplishing?
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing, and I think it's something that we've already thought about quite a lot, and we're already thinking about, before we were even launching, or before we even had a launch date as such. But I guess in my head currently, I'm currently in very much, in cooperation mode and partnership mode, just wanting to get some partners announced, and really create some really good relationships with projects that are really on board with what we're looking to do. So that's kind of a short-term goal for me, the next few months and then beyond. And then a slightly longer-term goal would be to get our cross-chain side up and running, because that then provides a really, really good place for people to use our platform both on the pro side and the passive side. And then the longer term side, so there's some people in our community, so we've patrons who are starting to think about kind of the marketing approaches that we need to be able to approach some sort of CFI people, so perhaps financial advisors in various countries, including like Korea, because that's where one of the guys lives. And also there's someone on our team creating a CFI strategy for us, because his background is in bonds management. So he's got quite a lot of knowledge there. So that's kind of a long-term view. I don't think we're like 100% set on exactly what we'll do there. I think that the interests in different areas will become clearer over time. But hopefully that helps you figure out kind of where we're heading longer term, as well as in the next few months.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important for projects like yourselves to stay nimble and make sure that they're able to adapt, not to just come up with a plan and stick to it 100%. I think by being able to adjust on the fly and make sure that you're making goals and readdressing your goals quite often is a great strategy for a project like yourself. So it's good that that's how you're approaching it as well. You're talking about these different groups and different partnerships that you're talking about. Do you have any secret information, any alpha you might want to drop, or anybody you're trying to talk to, anything like that? I don't know. I mean, it's always good to hear from projects and hear what they want to say.
No, it's good. If anyone's listening from a project, I'm really keen on getting a conversation started after this call. But yeah, I guess something that I can share today is that probably next week we're going to announce a partnership with our first wallet. So that's pretty exciting. So they are a mobile and a desktop wallet. So yeah, really excited for that. And with that relationship, we've already seen them being really helpful. And it's with our potential partners, we're not just seeking you on our platform. We want to help you if we can. And I think what I found from a personal point as well during this whole experience in DeFi is that the people are just so amazing. For every one bad person, there's like 9 good people. So I think creating those relationships is so important, and we're in it for the long term and are seeking people to join us on this really exciting journey. Sorry, I think I've lost you there. Don't know if you're speaking.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes. All good.
Okay, so in the middle of that, my mic just completely died, and I just put on a whole new headset, so I really apologize for that. Not sure why that happened. So we'll try to make sure that never happens again. No, I really appreciate you coming here today. I appreciate all of your answers. Thank you very much for sharing your project and everything that you're doing. I'm excited to continue this relationship. The way that I'd like to see this happen is to continue a friendship and a relationship with your project and continue this conversation over time. I think it would be really important to continue to get updates as we move forward and see how things evolve, because people need to realize that we're very early into this project. We're looking at this project at its generation, like it just started going on. So I think it would make sense to continue this conversation and keep an open dialogue, and maybe get updates in the near future as new things go online.
Yeah, for sure. I know that I'm really excited about what's happening in your community, and as well as ours. And I know you're sort of I know people have their eyes on different communities all the time, and yeah, it's really exciting just to have another partner along the way. So yeah, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love having you in our community. And that goes for other projects. If you want to reach out and join our community, you're welcome to. And for anybody else that's listening, if you're looking for joining a community-based research community, our doors are open. Check out our Discord and our website, and we'd love to have you. So again, Stephen, you're a gentleman, you're a professional. Thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too. See
Cheers,
ya.
everybody.